Hey everyone, welcome back to the second live stream that I'm actually doing. This is Airsoft Valeria, and I'd just like to spend some time going over a few things with my YouTube channel, as well as going through some traditional ghillie crafting techniques that I've had to learn in order to play in my upcoming mill sim. To start, let's just talk a little bit about my channel. Life being what life is, I just don't have the time anymore to post every week like I'd like to. It's been good and bad in that regard. I am literally working like crazy. Got a new job and I'm starting to keep that running, which is hugely important, especially considering I own my own house. As you can see, I'm sitting in my den at my computer. I pay for all my bills, I pay for my food, so yeah, being a new person to all this and having all of this going on is very important for me, very specifically. There we go. Get the chats up. Okay, there we go. Now the live chat's up. So in case anyone drops in to join me, I mean, obviously this is going to record and be on my YouTube, so you'll always have it. But this way I can see anyone that joins in, and I can, comment, answer questions, and the like. But back to what I was saying. So life has been good for me in the last year, but it's also kind of kicked me in the face a little bit. Obviously, I was able to buy my own house, but at the same time, I ended up getting furloughed, losing my job, landed on my feet, got a new job, but the new job comes new responsibility, new work environment, new travel times. So all this is going on, and of course something ends up suffering, and unfortunately my hobby is what's suffering a bit. So moving forward, one of the things that I am going to plan to do is continue to produce content, not every week like I had been, but dialing it back to twice a month. This way I have the time to do everything I need to do. I can produce the content and edit it so that it's ready to go, and this way I can keep up with everything, because as we all know, life can be crazy at times, and you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. Unfortunately, at my age with a house and bills, this stuff comes first and the hobby comes second. So that's kind of where things are right now. That being said, I do want to produce some content today for you guys. So now that I've talked a little bit about that, I'd like to move forward and talk more about traditional ghillie crafting, which was very new to me. I signed up for Grimnir Tactical's Conflict and Tropos 2, which is taking place at my home field at Zulu Airsoft in New York. Actually, Zulu 24 in New York, excuse me. And I signed up to play IGC. Well, someone was stupid. Someone did not read all the little tidbits of what you could and could not wear. I saw that IGC could use ghillie suits, so because I consider my leaf suit a ghillie suit, I expected that that would be good enough, and signed up, spent the money, bought the tickets. I'm very excited to be playing, but after I bought the tickets and I read a little bit deeper, I found out that I really can't wear my leaf suit for this. So I went out and I found the Ghillie Suit warehouse, where I ended up purchasing all the materials I need to create a traditional ghillie suit, because that's what I'm allowed to wear. Um, and I did do an unboxing of it and talk about it, so that's everything that I'm using. Yes, I know traditional suits tend to use more natural fibers than what I'm using. I opted to go with the synthetic for this only because I'm probably not going to use it often, one. Two, I didn't have the time to put into getting the dyeing of the burlap correctly, the jute correctly, and everything else. So with that, I went with synthetic fibers, which are already cut to size and in the right colors for my area for the time that they're holding this, which is in November. November up here in the Northeast is well, basically wintertime for us. Most of the green is, most of it, not all of it, but most of it's gone at this point. You're still going to have some green, not much, not like the summer where it was shockingly more green than I expected. But you can expect a lot of browns, dried up grass, dead leaves, those kinds of things. So those kinds of colors at the end of November, which is when this will be, which is right before Thanksgiving. So I bought plenty of fiber in order to create a full suit. I will have actually more than enough at the end of this, which is normal for us. We tend to overbuy and end up with extra. You know, because you're estimating, you don't really know how much you need, especially when you've never done it. I bought plenty of the netting to affix to my BDUs in order to make the camo properly, and then I started to work on it. So for starters, you get netting, basically this, you know, standard ghillie netting, browns, perfect color, perfect base color for this, and you have to affix it to your BDUs. Now I have a BDU coat that's already finished. I have a hat that's a boonie that's already finished. All I have left to do now are my bottoms. I opted to go with the standard camo that I tend to use, which is the OCP Scorpion. So it's a mixed camo. Which are these. Here's the pants. And I have already affixed the netting to it. Now, to affix the netting, it's hard to see from a distance, but I basically used 20-pound test fishing line, which is very strong, very durable, and sewed it into place. Took a lot of, that was a lot of work, I'm not going to lie. Sewing this netting on took me a lot of time. It took me a number of weeks to do, but it was necessary because I wanted this to be as strong as possible so it would last as long as possible. After I finished sewing it, what you're seeing on there is actually shoe goo. I shoe gooed over all of the stitches. This way, the stitches will now hold and it's in better shape. And now I have permanently affixed the webbing to my BDUs. Now I also wanted to take care to keep access to my pockets because sometimes you need them, and having them extra, especially if I'm not going to be using my webbing, will allow me to actually carry some extra tidbits, especially for something like this where I can expect to get into a hide and be there all day. I might need to reload. I might need to do certain things that I don't normally have to do when I play Airsoft. Usually I go out and I have an hours of gameplay, with 15 minutes in between to reload, to get myself ready to get back out into the field. Whereas this, we're going to go out at the start of the day, and we're going to come back, it sounds like, at the end of the day. Now, there are rules for the conflicts. I can actually leave the field, but it makes it a little more difficult. After I'm deployed, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get back to get off the field. So I want to make sure that when I get out to where I'm going, I'm going to be set for the day, which means carrying extra BBs, carrying speed loaders, carrying enough magazines to keep me going for the course of the day. Now, I carry enough magazines already. I'm going to be using my Stayer Scout, which I have 4 different mags for. I'm going to add 20, I believe it's 26 rounds per mag, so I have over 100 rounds for my Scout. And then, of course, I'm taking my MK23 out, which I have 4 mags for that at 25, 26 rounds per mag, so I should have plenty of magazines. If I can make it work, I will also bring a backup sidearm with a couple of mags for that. This way I have enough to help me get through everything. It's basically a standard loadout for me. My sniper with 2 sidearms, because getting close, you need something with some firepower, so to speak. The MK23, it's because of the trigger pull. It is a long trigger pull. It's not as quick of a gun as like my high Kappa, where all I have to do is pull the trigger and it's already set to go for the next. The MK23 takes a little longer, so having the extra performer is highly important. But in the end, my game is the stealth game. So really what I want to do is get into a place, get down, hide, and be able to not only tell where movement's going so that I can keep my team informed, but also provide overwatch, as so to speak. And to do that, I need to be hidden. And there are plenty of places to hide out there. Just got to know how to do it and got to keep yourself hidden. My last gameplay, and I have to edit that still, but I ended up getting into a spot where for the entirety of one of the games, I hid and I locked down a section of the field. I might not have had many kills, but I did not get myself killed, and I was able to support my team, which is the goal, my goal. As a new player, I'm setting small goals for myself, like being able to hide and remain unseen and be able to function like that. So really, as a new Airsoft player, which, let's face it, I've only been playing for 6 months. I started putting my kit together back in January, and I wasn't medically cleared from major surgery until April. It's what it is. But I'm learning, getting better every day, including with the streaming. I'm getting the live streams and my video editing. I'm learning new tricks all the time. And that's really what I'm trying to do. But anyway, now back to the crafting, because that's really what I wanted to go through today. So with the pants, there's a couple of things that we all have to take into account. First off is the overlap of my jacket to my pants. So my jacket's going to overlap at the top of my pants some. So I technically don't have to craft all the way up to the back, but I'm going to, only because when you're prone and laying, having that extra, which will help break up my shape, will be very important. The other thing that I have to take into consideration with my pants is the leg. How far down to craft it. So as you can see, I have this pretty much down the leg here. Now I usually tuck in roughly that much into my boot because I don't want it dragging. I don't want to trip. So I'm also going to be very conscious about how low the fibers hang so I don't trip on them. So that's all part of the planning on this when I was putting this together. But that being said, I think I can actually put this together and start roughly, I want to say roughly here on this, so that I can make sure that there's no way I can trip while I'm, excuse me, moving around fast and trying to keep things going. So to start with, I'm just going to use some of the brown ghillie fiber that I have, which I just happen to have open because I've been crafting everything else. I do happen to love the color of the dead grass. I ended up buying multiple extra packages of it because it looks so good, and I wanted to make sure that I had it on because the times I'm playing, and that's really the colors that we're looking for. This brown is good. It does still simulate wood, a wood color very well, which is why I have it. I also have a darker brown that I craft in there to add some shadow, because sometimes you do have shadow in nature. You do always have shadow in nature, and you know, that dark brown is also good for if you have like a wet day with some mud. Wet dirt makes a very good color for it. And then I also have the greens that I'm using are more of a mossy grit color, which again, that moss grows year round. You're going to find it all the time. So using that to offset and add some green to the suit so that there's still that depth. So when you're crafting a ghillie suit, whether it be traditional or a leaf suit, you're looking for depth, you're looking at creating shadow, you're looking at breaking up the human figure. Those are the big things. Correct color is important. Color for where you are is important, but if you can break up your figure, you can add shadows, you can get all of that other stuff right, color just flows naturally with that. So let me just start by going through some of how you do this. Now, to do this, I'm going to take some fiber. Now, obviously, this is been out of its packaging. It's starting to knot a little bit. And what I'd like to do is take a bunch, you know, I don't know, half dozen to a dozen strands. I like to kind of comb it out a little bit. Try to keep them semi-even because it helps. And then I'm going to fold it in half. And now I'm just going to thread this through so that I can get a loop and like that. Now the idea is that you want it hanging down. So when you thread this, you want to make sure that when you're done, it hangs down. As you can see, that's getting pretty close to my pant leg, so with the boot, it should be fine. That is at least the hope that I estimated that right, because I didn't measure it properly. I don't usually measure these things. I try to organically do this so that in the end, it looks as organic as possible. And that's basically it. Craft it through. pull it tight, and then it just hangs down. Now eventually what will happen is I will get I have a comb ordered, a wire comb, so that I can comb it out. This way when it's all ready, I don't have to worry. The other thing to consider when you're putting these together is make sure you have enough that it's not too loose. Now, because it's the pants, I kept it a little looser because you're moving, you're bending your legs. But it's going to sag. You're going to get weight and it's going to sag. So you want to make sure that you have enough tension to keep it from sagging too much, but at the same time, depending on where you're crafting, you need enough sag so that you can move properly, because that's just as important. A lot of your main streamers that are snipers, that's one of the things that they all talk about is you're going to be heard before you're seen. And that is very true. So again, I just grab a random amount. I don't count the strands. I don't feel that's a necessary part of doing this. You'll hear some people say you want to take 6 strands or do this or do that, and yeah, that's a good rule of thumb, but also keep in mind what you're using. Jute will absorb water, which will make it puff up, which will change it. So you don't want to use as much jute as I'm using with the synthetic, because synthetic's not going to react the same to the element. And that's really what you got to consider is how is it going to react to the element that you're playing in. Now, am I going to be in rain? Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I could be playing in snow for all I know come November in the northeast where I am from. I could very well be in snow. It could be a sunny day and 70 degrees. It could be anything. There's no way of knowing, and that's what makes doing this kind of unpredictable. You're trying to plan out to the best of your ability, but you never know what it's going to be like on game day, and that's kind of the fun of it. You know, is it going to be a warm day out? If it's going to be a warm day out, this ghillie suit's going to get very hot very quick on me. That is the drawback to ghillie suits. They do get very hot. Hit a point in time over the summer where I couldn't even wear my leaf suit, and it was just too warm. You know, we're talking about 90-degree days, 90-degree plus days. I played in a 100-degree day. It was a rough day doing that. So, you know, those are all things to consider. How are you carrying water with you? What are you doing to keep yourself safe and hydrated, or the like? You know, those are things to think about and make sure that you're prepared for. And once you are prepared for that, you'll have no problems. Also, as a ghillie sniper, which is what I'm doing, how many suits do you need? Well, I thought I could get away with 1. Now I'm actually crafting my 3rd. It comes down to sight, how things look, and a lot of that you learn as you go. You don't always know. It's just a lot of work, a lot of learning. You're constantly tweaking, so don't ever think that you're done, because once you think you're done, you know, something changes and you're not. Nature is constantly changing. Nature is constantly evolving. So you're constantly changing and evolving your ghillie suits in order to make it work, which is why I now have 3 suits. I have this traditional one. I have my brown leaf suit, which is set up for most of the year. Well, let's be fair, it's set up for most of the year, so I can basically use that from late September through late May, early June, depending on how green things get and how fast. And then I have a green suit that I'm building from scratch to be there for kind of a lightweight option in the summer, so I'm not overheating myself from wearing too many layers. So yeah, that's basically it. Just going to continue crafting this, and we're gonna hopefully by the end of this week have this kit ready so I can get it out for a field test, because field testing is highly important. Might look good on the mannequin or in, you know, in the artificial light that is your house or your living room. For me, my office, which is a total mess right now. But when seeing it in nature is what really matters. Not so much how it looks here. Like I can use the natural light to make things work and learn, but at the same time, once I am done with this, I am hoping to have it done by my next gameplay, because I plan on using it, get it out, get feedback, and make any adjustments I need for the milsim in November. So that's really my goal here, is to get this finished so I can get it out. But yes, getting your gear out for testing, especially a ghillie suit, is very important. Don't ever think it's not. It's one of the biggest steps that you can do. And then don't be afraid to ask for feedback. Talk to the other players, see how things went, see how they saw you, if they saw you. What was it that they saw? Was it that they saw you moving? Movement is what movement is. That's how, will set you off. They will see you if you're moving. It's timing. It's knowing where to step, how to step. Are you being noisy? Were you making too much noise? Were you quiet enough? Did they hear you? Or a lot of those questions you can't answer. You can't learn until you've actually experienced and then gotten that feedback. And then from that feedback, can you get better? Okay. And there you have it. The start. And as you can see, this side's already set up as well. So it's just a matter of doing the same thing and rinse, repeat until I've finished it. As far as using the different shades, the different colors, I try to break it up so it makes it look more natural, which is what you try to go for. You want to try to not have like lines, but make it look like it would, as close to what nature would look like as possible. You will see lines, just not as obviously as what you would expect. So that's part of it. It's a lot of looking, thinking ahead, planning out how you're going to put everything on. As you can see, this is not really that difficult to do. It's just time consuming and planning it properly. So anyway, I think that's all for today. Thank you for those that joined me. Thank you to those that catch this after the fact. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you all like, subscribe, always and as always, leave a comment. Even ring that bell. This way, you know, I can get more people out there to learn. That's what this is about, learning. This is about teaching you guys as much as I'm learning, as well as sharing the information and the knowledge that I'm gaining. So hopefully I'll see you guys on the next one. Expect the next one out the next couple of weeks. It'll be a gameplay that is probably a couple of months old because I had fallen behind on that. But I'm catching it up. That's all that matters. All right. Well, hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all next time. Thank you.